sector, Mr. Divakar Gupta, former Executive Director and CFO of SBI, joins us to talk about the new RBI guideline on small banks. And along with Mr. Gupta, we have Mr. Sanjay Kapoor, Chairman of Micromax, who joins us from New Delhi. Sanjay and Mr. Gupta, gentlemen, good morning to both of you and thank you for joining us. Mr. Gupta, let me start the discussion with you. The new RBI guideline, I think, is very clear and straightforward on what they want to do for banks and small banks. Do you think small banks now will be a reality? Will that be a new category for Indians?
Look, the purpose of these guidelines is the recognition of the fact that mainstream banks can only do this much and not more when it comes to financial inclusion, because they have to do 20 things and more, and bandwidth is limited. They cannot be monoliners in that sense, and I think the new guidelines promote that concept. Now, if you go back in history, you had local area banks. Today you have 93,000 cooperatives, and obviously all of them together hold less than 10% of the entire banking activity. So we need to be careful on how this new model is going to get rolled out, and I think Reserve Bank will do a lot of due diligence on the applicants to check that. But I would be reasonably confident that therefore this is the trigger for alternate delivery mechanisms and new business models to come up, because regular brick and mortar branches and expansion of the network won't do. You have to now intermediate at 500,000 points with the sub 2,000 population. Partnerships will be the order of the day. Technology will have to be strongly ridden on, and you will have to do transaction processing at a fraction of current costs. I think even the revenue model will have to be fee-based on transactions rather than just an interest-based or a cross-sell based revenue model. And if some players get it right on this, certainly this is the way to go.
Sanjay, I want to get your views on the norms on payment banks, mobile telephone companies, supermarket chains, non-bank prepaid instrument issuers are all eligible to apply now. What's your view on the same?
Well, all I can begin with is to say that it is people like Mr. Gupta and myself and many others from telecom who've been pushing this cause with the financial regulators for a very long time with different types of experimentations. First and foremost, I'm delighted that the financial world has taken cognizance of what small banks can do for financial inclusion, and that telcos and other companies can participate in that journey because of the right reasons that Mr. Gupta was just talking about. However, when I say that, it is also important to figure out that this is a game changer in one sense, that it takes financial inclusion deep down into all those parts of the country where customers are unserved. Even when you look at the prepaid base of a telecom operator, good 45-50% of the customers don't even have a bank account. And this really is a booster to all that. But this changes the game from depending on banks and having a bank-led model to a model where now you acquire a license yourself. And therefore things like KYC, etc., that was being done by the bank earlier, now those liabilities pass on to the person who acquires this license going forward. So I think from a consumer standpoint, it's a very encouraging move. But the financials of this, I agree with Mr. Gupta, will have to be probably transaction-led, because to make money out of large, financial flow through these pipes will take a long time to be profitable. So when you look at the current operators in the market, it is very evident that the operators with the largest base, for example, Vodafone, for example, Airtel, seem to be the most eligible bachelors to get into this licensing regime. And I think they've been working on these for the past few years, and now this is their time to go and exercise their right to get a license and to actually provide these services to their customers and differentiate themselves in the marketplace.
It's going to mark the markets because, again, 200 points up for the Sensex. Bajaj Auto, unfortunately, is moving the other way around. Let's very quickly mark Bajaj Auto. In a market when auto discretionary as a group or consumer discretionary as a group has made a comeback, Bajaj Auto is on the receiving end. Why? Well, remember, 4 days ago, they came out with very poor set of numbers. In this market, if you don't deliver, there's no space for you to hide. Mr. Gupta, the definition is small banks, but the minimum capital requirement is 100 crore. And 100 crore is not, pocket change. How many small banks will have 100 crores to set up a small bank? How many entities would have 100 crores?
No, but if we are talking about payment banks, I think you don't need far too many. You need people who have all India reach. If you talk about mainstream small banks, well, you could always debate that 100 crores is still quite a lot. We don't want people with 10 and 15 and 20 crores to be setting up banks. You know, there is a big regulatory responsibility on the regulator and the systemic risk. Mind you, Reserve Bank has been saying very clearly that they would be happy to see licensing more liberally, provided the risk around the banking channel delivery, operational risk, can be contained. And that's why they have this vertical as well as horizontal ring fencing or limiting of what can be done. I think 100 crores is a fair amount, because at the end of the day these banks still will be leveraged several times, anywhere between 10 and 20 times.
You were just talking about earlier as to how it's still a little, or rather there are some ambiguities even now, and that you would sought clarification from the RBI on. Why don't you reiterate the same for our viewers?
Look, for one thing, these are both going to be partner-led models. So the question is, small bank also will handle payments. Can it handle payments on the same scale that a payments bank would? The other question is on payments bank themselves mirroring small banks, because they will hold deposit accounts of 1 lakh rupees per customer. Now they cannot give credit, but they can tie up with another bank or another player for that credit. Would they be allowed to enhance that kind of credit, or would that not be happening? If you have business correspondents, can both entities have business correspondents? And if a small bank has a business correspondent, can that business correspondent still do transfers and other things in geographies which are not contiguous for the definition of the operations of the mainstream small bank? Finally, I think both the circulars of Reserve Bank have the last line saying that a set of guidelines for universal banking are also under finalizations and will be put up. So if a player applies for a small bank, will he be allowed to migrate to a universal banking application as and when that happens? So those are the issues, but that's the whole idea of a discussion paper. We have up to 20th of August to fire off all those questions, and I'm sure the regulator will take those.
I'll tell you what I'm excited about as a mobile user. Me and Aisha, we are both trying to imagine how will life change for us once small banks are going to be there. So Sanjay, why don't you walk us through? This is 2014. What will happen in 2017, 2018 when mobile banks will be a reality? How will life change for us?
I think first and foremost, we all know that you will have millions of these outlets all across the country.
In 2017, 2018 when mobile banks will be a reality, how will life change for us?
I think first and foremost, we all know that you will have millions of these outlets all across the country, which will act surrogate ATMs or small branches for banks, where you could go and deposit cash, where you could go and withdraw cash, where you could transfer money. You'll have lots of labor which lives in different parts of the country away from their domicile, and they transact small payments back home on a regular basis. These guys will be able to do it without any delays and at a very small cost, hopefully, because we know that it costs a lot to enter a bank branch or an ATM or even an internet portal. It will be a lot cheaper when it comes to mobile telephony, and we've been demonstrating that in the past. So convenience will be the order of the day. It will become very pervasive, and virtually small shops and establishments will be able to transact with these smaller amounts of money, reaching virtually to your neighborhood at any point in time. And maybe many of them will be working around the clock, so you'll not be constrained by time of the day as well. So I think a lot of flexibility will come on the table.
Okay. Sanjay, Mr. Gupta, gentlemen, appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. Mobile banking, well, I'm really looking forward to that time when on your mobile phone you can deposit cash, on your mobile phone you can also receive cash. So yeah, things are changing and big opportunity for some of the back-end technology providers as well. Aisha?
Okay, on that note, let's move forward and also